I always say that you guys should invest your money, and I also talk about all the different options that we have as Malaysians. But do I practice what I preach? So today, I thought, I'll go through my entire investment portfolio with you guys. Let's get into it. By the way, just a heads up, I have a ton of different investments. I have just way too many. And there are two reasons I do this. One is, of course, I want to test it out for you guys, to share my thoughts on it. And then number two, I'm just a curious guy when it comes to investments. I like to try new things. You guys don't have to follow me, of course. Don't spread your money across so many different investments. Just watch this video to the end and then pick which one is right for you. So I'm going to start from lowest to highest risk. And of course, this will start with Amanah Saham and EPF. I kind of just lump these two things together because I know it's not the same thing, but to me, it's kind of the same thing, right? Anyway, I also have some money invested into money market funds. I know technically these are investments. They're not really cash, they are investments. But because they are like cash to me, I decided that I won't include them in this video. First up, let's talk about Amanah Saham. So this one to me is actually the perfect place for most Malaysians to start their investing journey. It's almost zero risk and the returns are pretty good as well. So how it works is that most of the times people will invest into their fixed price funds, meaning one unit will always be RM1. It won't fluctuate up and down. You won't get any heart attacks. The value of investment will always stay the same, and then every year they pay us a dividend. That makes this a very attractive investment and a good place for most people to start. So because of that, I have quite a bit of money parked here, especially after I quit my job, because I wanted to move my investments to a bit more on the safer side, just in case I needed to withdraw the money for my general expenses. So the main products that I use with ASNB is ASB1, which is Amanah Saham Bumiputra, and ASB2. Unfortunately, these products are only for Bumiputras in Malaysia, so if you're someone who is a non-Bumi watching this, you can try out ASM, which is Amanah Saham Malaysia. I think there's also an ASM2 and an ASM3 as well. They work pretty much the same as ASB, but the difficult thing is there's a quota to this, so it's not super easy to get it, but sometimes if you try, you might be lucky, you might be able to invest into them. Recently, I also tried investing into the variable priced fund for the first time in my life. I did this through their so-called Roboadvisor called RIA or RIA. I haven't invested in this for a long time yet. It's actually literally only been a few days ago. So I will not talk too much about this because I don't know how it works in detail. I will share this in a video later on. On the EPF side, I also have quite a bit of money here, obviously, purely from the mandatory contributions I had back when I was still working. So I nearly had 6 figures in my EPF. I was very, very close to it, but I think I quit my job a bit too early. If I worked an extra 2 or 3 months, I think I would have hit the 6-figure mark, but it's okay. I'll just wait for the dividends next year and I should be there. I also opted to move the maximum allocation that I could to account 3, and I do think that most people should do it. There's really no harm. It gives me the extra flexibility, just in case if I need to withdraw the money in the future, at least I have the option to do so. So I think that EPF is, of course, a good place for us to have our money invested. It works similarly to ASB. There is very, very little risk and the returns are pretty good. But since I stopped working last year, I don't have any more mandatory contributions like most of you guys with a salary would have. And I also decided that I will not be making any voluntary contributions either. The reason for this is that, I know the returns are nice, the risk reward is really good, like I was just saying. It seems a bit contradictory, but to me, if I wanted that risk reward, I would just go for ASB. They are very similar products. And I also know that, I might or I will get a tax relief if I contribute to EPF, but to me, the tax relief is not worth locking up my money for another 28 years until I'm 55. It's just not worth it for me. I like my investments to be very liquid. Anyway, both EPF and ASB should form a large portion of most Malaysians' investment portfolios, and I think it's a good thing. We are quite lucky to have these options. But of course, I still invest in other places to get potentially higher returns. The first of which is P2P Investing, which right now I only use funding societies. So for those of you guys who don't know what P2P Investing is, in short, or in a nutshell, it's basically us as investors loaning money to Malaysian SMEs, and in return for giving a loan, of course, we will get interest or profits. I would consider this investment quite risky just because it's a loan, we're giving it to an SME, and they could decide, they can't pay it back, which then means we will not get our money back. But I'm still invested in funding societies just because the returns have been pretty good ever since I started investing, and they recently, maybe not recently, but they did introduce a new product which kind of guarantees my investment. I don't have too much money here right now just because I wanted to give it a bit more time, see how things go, see if the defaults go up or anything like that before I decide if I want to put more money into it or not. By the way, I have a lot of videos that I made in the past about some of these investments where I talk about it in specific. So in this video, of course, I'll be talking about it like, very quickly. But if you want to know more about these investments in detail, then I have a lot of videos on that, including funding societies, my strategy, my approach, and what I think about it. And if you guys want to sign up for any of these apps, I do have referral links so that you guys can sign up and get some nice rewards for it. And you're of course also supporting the channel. So if you guys want to find all of these links to the videos of these products in specific, and also links to sign up, I'll leave it all down below in the description. Anyway, next up, we have stocks, which is my favorite investment. So I have a few ways that I use to invest in stocks, but the first one that I'll be talking about is Roboadvisors. In my opinion, this is still the best way for new investors, the average person who want to invest in stocks, just because it's so convenient. You don't have to think about, where you're going to invest your money, stuff like that. You don't have to do a lot of research. It's just a lot more convenient. This to me, it's perfect for people who are new or people who want to invest in a stock market, but they just don't really care about stocks. They don't want to spend too much time on it. So the first Roboadvisor app that I use is Stashaway, and here I have two different portfolios. The first one is their BlackRock powered portfolio, and I'm on the very aggressive risk profile. This one has been doing pretty well ever since I started investing. I'm actually quite happy with this investment. So this is what I'm talking about, even though I am someone who really enjoys investing and follows news and stuff like that, I still want to have some money invested here just because, I don't have to think about where to invest. They have a team of research analysts who will decide where to deploy my money, and they will also do reoptimizations whenever they think it's necessary. Because sometimes I could be wrong, or maybe sometimes I miss out on something. For example, one of the best performing ETFs in this portfolio ever since I started investing is the Eurozone. If I were to invest on my own, I would never invest in Europe because I'm just not a huge fan of it. But I guess some guy in BlackRock back then thought that Europe would do well, and turns out it did do well, and it is one of the top performing ETFs in my portfolio right now. The second portfolio that I have with Stashaway is their flexible portfolio. So this is where I can pick and choose which ETFs I want to invest in. I will share with you guys what ETFs I chose, but please don't just follow me, do your own research. So I've got 5 different ETFs. To me, I think this is good enough for diversification. I used to have a lot more than this that I thought it didn't make sense. But anyway, let me go through it. First up, I want to cover the US stock market. Of course, it's been the best performer in the last 10, maybe even 20 years. So I have the S&P 500, I have the Nasdaq 100. These are probably the 2 most popular ETFs in the US. And then I also have this one ETF for high dividend companies. This is just more for diversification because, companies with high dividends, usually it means they are value stocks compared to, the big high growth tech stocks. Then I also want some exposure to global equities. So here I have 2 different ETFs. One is emerging markets because I do like emerging markets. I think they'll do pretty well. And then the second one is just a more generic total world stock market ETF. Moving on to the only other Roboadvisor that I'm currently invested in, which is Wahid Invest. And here again, I am on the very aggressive risk profile. With them, I've always been surprised, and in a good way, because their performance has been really, really good over the last few years, ever since I started investing. Recently, I also did a video talking about their newest ETFs, and going through them, I actually do think they are pretty good options. In the past, I also used to invest in 2 different Roboadvisors, which is KDI Invest by Kananga and myTheo. I do think that they are pretty good options. I just didn't want to have too many Roboadvisors that I've invested in, so I decided to withdraw my money from both of those platforms. The next one that I do want to try out is Versa Invest. It does seem promising, and it's also nice because, if you invest via Versa Invest, you will unlock their new special, I think tiered rate for Versa Cash, where you can earn up to 6%. So I will try that out, and I'll make a video talking about it for you guys very soon. So Robo-advisors are nice, they're good for beginners, but the main way that I invest in stocks is of course via brokers. This is where the majority of my investments are in. The first broker that I'm currently using is Interactive Brokers, or IBKR. So I've been using them for the last basically ever since I started my investing journey. They are a very good option. So I use IBKR right now for my long-term investing portfolio in US ETFs, of which right now I have 6 different ones. So first, I have the standard S&P 500, again, of course, because this is the bedrock of my investment portfolio. But I also have this other ETF called SPGP. This is basically the S&P 500, but it only chooses companies with high growth at a reasonable price. Then I have another ETF. This one is called VFMO. It is a momentum ETF just because I like momentum investing, and it has done well over the last few years. So this one, it focuses on stocks in the US that has, the highest momentum in terms of price. Then I remember back then that, I also wanted some small cap exposure, so some exposure to smaller companies. S&P 500, usually it is the biggest 500 companies in the US. So I also wanted some of the smaller companies, give them some love, which is why I went for VBK, which holds small companies with high growth in the US. Then again, as per my statutory flexible portfolio, I wanted to have some exposure to global equities as well, which is why I again went for VWO for emerging markets. And I also have this one ETF called EPI, which focuses specifically on the Indian market, and this one has been doing very, very well for me. Moving on from IBKR, the other broker that I'm currently using right now is Moomoo, and unlike IBKR, this one is licensed and regulated by Securities Commission Malaysia. I use Moomoo to invest in the local stock market, but as of now, I actually only have one investment, and that is in a Malaysian ETF. So this one is really cool to me. This one is also a momentum ETF, and I've really liked it so far. I think moving forward, I will only invest in the local stock market via this ETF. This makes my entire long-term investing portfolio purely in ETFs. No more holding individual names. I used to try and pick stocks, to invest in. Back then, back in the days, Tesla, C Limited, Zoom, all these companies, I tried to, invest for the long term, but it was a lot of effort to me. It's not worth it. So for my investing, it's now only in ETFs. But, looking back in the past 1 year, maybe I should have invested in Nvidia, it has gone up a lot, but it's okay. I still profit from Nvidia, of course, because Nvidia is in most of my ETFs. By the way, I also use Moomoo to trade US stocks, so I kind of have a portfolio here. I do own some stocks right now, but I wouldn't consider these investments, and that's why I also wouldn't share these names, because I don't hold these names for very long. It's a trade to me, so maybe I hold it for a couple of days, at most maybe a couple of weeks. And I also use Moomoo to trade Malaysian IPOs, so I apply and trade for Malaysian IPOs via Moomoo. Again, I don't consider this an investment because I pretty much just sell the stock as soon as it IPOs. But yeah, this year I think Malaysia, there's a lot of IPOs again. It has been doing well, so I will go harder with IPOs via Moomoo. By the way, if you guys are comparing between Moomoo and IBKR, you don't know which one to use. To me, they are both pretty good options, but I recently made a video to compare them both. I talk about their features, their safety, regulation, all those stuff. If you guys want, you can check out the video and see which one is more suitable for you. Finally, I also, of course, have some money invested into crypto. This one to me is my just in case investment. I'm not super bullish on crypto that I will have a large position here, but I do have some money into it just in case it goes to the moon. My main investment in the crypto space is in Bitcoin because to me, in my opinion at least, I think Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency that has a chance of making it in the long term. All the other coins, yes, it might, make us a lot of money in the short term, but I just don't think they will survive over time. Right now, I'm using Luno to invest in Bitcoin. I know some of you guys would say, oh, not your keys, not your coins, but to me, Luno is just convenient. I don't really care. I just put my money in there. Right now, I'm not doing any DCA into Bitcoin. I'm not consistently buying. I'm just holding what I currently have. And every once in a while, if I feel FOMO, if I feel like it, I will just buy more. I also have some investments in some other crypto, even though I say they don't stand a chance, but I still, I can't help myself. So I have some investments in Solana and Atom. For both of these, I'm not using any centralized exchanges because, to me, it's too much of a hassle. I'd rather just hold them in my hot wallets. So on the Solana chain, I'm using Phantom Wallet. This one, of course, is the most popular option out there. I'm holding some Solana, some meme coins, and I also have some other random coins staked somewhere. So for Atom, I'm using the Kepler wallet. Here, I only have Atom and Osmo, I think. These are mainly for airdrops. I bought this quite a while ago. I just staked it. I don't know what's going on with it. I'm just hoping for the best. Maybe one day in the future, I'll get a really good airdrop and give me some nice money. Anyway, that's all the places, all the apps that I have that I use to invest my money. I know that there are two very popular investments that I don't currently own, which is gold or real estate. The truth is, I don't know, I'm just not a huge fan of those as of now. Maybe in the future, I will change my mind. Actually, I was thinking about investing in gold. I can add a gold ETF into my statutory flexible portfolio. So maybe I'll do it in the next few days. And I know that my investments are so spread out. Some of you guys might be thinking, you don't even have that much money. Why do you invest in all these places? Like I said, it's just for fun. It's also just to test them out. You guys, you don't need to, or maybe even you shouldn't spread out your money so much like that. Just, based on what I've just said, just choose which one works well for you. Anyway, if you guys want to sign up for any of these products, if you guys want to sign up for any of these apps, make sure you use my referral links. I'll leave it down below. You get some nice rewards for it, and you also support the channel. Thanks for watching this video to the end, guys. Give me a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. See you guys in the next one.